Senator Sinema is recognized, I believe, from her office. Senator Sinema of Arizona.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate this. I want to start by talking to our witnesses about our working group that I convened last year, a bipartisan Senate working group with other members of this committee to identify and advance solutions around risk sharing and future pandemics. Our goal is to improve the resiliency of the U.S. economy to future pandemic related economic shocks. Our group aims to do this by creating and advancing an insurance framework that brings forward the power of the private sector and provides business owners with choices to buy coverage that aligns with their needs and their risk tolerance. That will reduce the price tag of any future pandemic response and address some of the waste, fraud, and abuse that we're seeing with respect to pandemic aid. Our response to future pandemics needs to be leaner, faster, and smarter. And it's important to me that future responses are more fiscally responsible, as it's clear that the risk of overspending, coupled with supply chain disruptions, can trigger an inflationary response. So, first to Commissioner Bahrain, I appreciate you joining us today. As you know, for insurance policies that cover event cancellation and business interruption, virtually all of them include an exclusion that exempts pandemics from coverage. Despite this exclusion, I've heard from businesses and insurance brokers alike that event cancellation and business interruption coverage is increasingly difficult to find, and it's expensive if you can find it. What do you see in the market for these lines of insurance?
Well, I think your characterization of the current market condition is correct, and I do not see that changing in the near future. I think that there are certain types of risk that are, as I've said before, too large, too volatile, too certain for the market to be able to absorb them.
Thank you. Um, our working group is concerned about this because we want businesses to be able to find and afford the insurance policies they need to qualify for financing and to responsibly plan for the future. So, my next question is also for you, Commissioner. For a future pandemic, I'd like to also see an insurance solution for small businesses so that they can take a level of responsibility that aligns with their risk tolerance. In 2020, some Arizona businesses had to wait months to get their PPP loans, and they had to go from bank to access relief. I'd rather have a framework where businesses could purchase subsidized coverage, where it's affordable to the business owner and the business owner knows exactly how much coverage they're getting. Would you agree that a pre established private insurance policy would generally provide faster and more predictable relief for businesses to plan around?
Well, what I would suggest is that, the NAIC has supported the idea of a federal backstop of sorts with respect to BI coverage. And certainly it is important that business owners have a sense of certainty about, what their coverage options are and what their costs are. There are a variety of models that work well when the government and private industry couple together that draws on the strengths of each, the strength of government to be able to fund more broadly and the strengths of insurance companies to be able to appropriately underwrite and price and adjudicate claims and assist businesses in risk mitigation. So I would say overall, there is a case here to be made for such a partnership, and the particular model of that partnership is something that the NAIC does not really have a position on.
Thank you. And would you agree that the risk management and auditing capacities that private insurance brings would be helpful in reducing waste, fraud, and abuse in a future pandemic?
I would certainly say that insurance companies, part of what they bring to the table in any circumstance is expertise in underwriting and in risk mitigation, as well as risk financing and fraud detection.
Thank you. Now, I have a question for you about insurance more generally. In your experience regulating insurance companies, would you say that an insurance carrier bearing some level of risk incentives incentivizes them to conduct more robust auditing and risk management since their own capital is on the line?
I would say that insurance companies are generally very effective at reviewing risks and in helping their insureds to mitigate those risks. So that is certainly part of when you have an insurance policy, particularly in the property and casualty area, or workers' compensation. The insurance company often plays a very integral role through the underwriting process and the pricing process in helping companies to mitigate the risk that they're trying to finance.
Thank you. And finally, I'll just say we are working to identify a thoughtful and bipartisan federal solution to address this issue and create a smarter response for future pandemics. Our working group appreciates the National Association of Insurance Commissioners' strong leadership in endorsing a federal solution in this space. And I'm looking forward to working with you and other key stakeholders to find a path forward here. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Sinema.